E. Cummings wrote the following: to be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you everybody else means to fight the hardest battle which any human being can fight and never stop fighting. I tend to agree with him. It's tough to be me, or maybe to be you. It is tough enough to know oneself, or even who you want to be on any given day. One author said, "We so long for the approval of others that we have pretended to be who we are not." That old actor Gregory Peck had a take on this position. He said, if you have to tell them who you aren't anybody. And try this mind twister on for size. This little book that I keep by my bedside, Notes to Myself. The author, Hugh Prather, is talking about his wife when he says, "I get angry at Gail when she asks me to do something if I sense that in refusing to do what she asks, I will demonstrate that I am not the way I like to think of myself." Wow. Did you follow that? He's trapped by his wife's request because he doesn't want to do the thing. He just wants to see himself as the kind of person who would do it.
I think that's pretty common.
No wonder Albert Camus, in his existentialist novel, The Fall, wrote, "At the end of all freedom is a court sentence." Back in college days, I had this book with the esoteric title, Our Many Selves. Elizabeth O'Connor's premise in that book was that we are made up of a lot of selves. Many of them we don't want to acknowledge. We deny, we ignore. History and psychology inform us what we repress in ourselves, we project onto our neighbor and try to destroy there. O'Connor said, "My very wholeness may depend on my willingness to keep company with these strange, dark messengers within." Part of the interesting dilemma is that we collect these inner people as we go throughout our lives, and we can never send them home. Once they're in the party, that's it. They're a housemate, not a guest. Freud explained that every earlier stage of development we go through persists alongside the later stages we develop. So, for example, we have a primitive side that can rear its ugly head at any moment when our guard is down. You have probably met some of these inner strangers. They often introduce themselves with phrases like, "That isn't like me," or "I can't believe I said that." Jewish theologian Martin Buber tells about a rabbi on his deathbed. He is asked if he is ready for the afterlife, and the rabbi says yes. He is ready because he knows when he meets his Maker, he will not be asked, "Why were you not like Moses?" He will be asked, "Did you live to be yourself? Did you live your life authentically to the best of your potential?" But here's another rabbi story that is even closer to my point. A respected rabbi is dying. He whispers to his family, "Bring me a ham sandwich." They are shocked. One of his children asks, "Father, after a lifetime of holy observance, why would you want a ham sandwich now?" The rabbi explains that on his Day of Atonement, he will stand before his Maker and answer for all of his sins. A long and painful process of remorse. When God gets to the part about the ham sandwich, I will know it's almost over. You heard the reading offered earlier called Losers. The church is a place for losers, it said. I certainly fit a lot of the categories. Lost my hair, my parents, memories, more than one job. I have lost my way a few times, lost my faith, and lost all hope. And I can testify that the church is a place for me. It's a place, I believe, where we can offer light and understanding, hope for one another, purpose in our lives. I believe it because I have experienced it in my own life with this very church. But I don't think we are really losers, and I'll tell you why. In 1971, Muriel James and Dorothy Jongward, if I'm saying it correctly, wrote a book called Born to Win. This is what they had to say. A winner is one who responds authentically to life by being credible, trustworthy, responsive, and genuine. A loser is one who fails to respond authentically. They said we are all born to win. In UU terms, we call it the inherent worth and dignity of every person. But, they said, we are also born helpless and totally dependent on our environment. Winners make the transition from helplessness to independence and then to interdependence. Losers do not. Somewhere along the line, they said, losers begin to avoid becoming responsible for their own lives. We play if only, or we play what if. Oftentimes we do this because of the tracks playing in our heads. We act in predetermined ways. This is what the developer of transactional analysis, Dr. Eric Bernet, observed in his patients. It was as though there were several different people, he said, inside the individual. Imagine a mother scolding her child. Her voice is loud. Her face is angry. Her arms are tense. Then the phone rings. It's a dear friend. The mother's posture changes. Her voice is modulated. She has shifted from her parent ego state into her adult ego state. Everything that we experience in life becomes recorded in our brains and in our nervous systems. These many selves are waiting in the wings. I'll give you something to cry about. You'll do it because I said so. I'll beat you within an inch of your life. Sound familiar? Any of it? Boy, it echoes in my ears. Building blocks to inner conflict. Our parent ego state contains the attitudes and behavior we incorporated from those parent figures in our lives at our most impressionable age. The child ego state contains that old behavior from our childhood, all those feelings and experiences, fear, wonder, dependency. Our adult ego state is, of course, the rational, intelligent, objective gathering of information. You might say the search for truth and meaning. So this may be arrogant, but I like to think of the adult in us as Unitarian Universalist. The parent is the dogmatist, the God religion. Thou shalt not. James Joyce said, there is no heresy or philosophy so abhorrent to the church as a human being. Understanding how these ego states operate is key to being a winner. It took me years, decades, to hear my parents' voices echo in my head, to hear them emanate from my own mouth when I would speak to others, especially my own stepchildren. We all have voices in our heads. I heard someone say it's one thing to talk to God, but it's a sure bet when you say God talks to you, they'll know you're crazy. If our aim in life was only to get by, to survive through one catastrophe into the next, we wouldn't need the church. We would just duck our heads and dodge the bullets. But even the children's story reminds us life is so much deeper, opening doors to magic and mystery and wonder. The goal is not survival, but authentic lives. Jerry Clower, an old religious comedian, used to poke fun at his make-believe country characters, much as Garrison Keillor did. He said that one day, Versi Ledbetter came crashing into the house and yelled, "It's Judgment Day! It's Judgment Day! God's done wrote it in the sky!" They all ran outside and looked up. Then they had to calm him down and say, "Now, Versi, that's not God, it's Pepsi-Cola." There are times when we might find enlightenment from on high. Truth comes to us and we just know we're right. It's important at that time to have a loving community who can tell us, "Now, Jack, that's not God. That's mommy and daddy in your head." Don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking here just about a rational, humanistic understanding of religion. Remember the definition from James and Jungwirth. A winner is one who makes the transition from helplessness to independence, and from independence to interdependence. It is one who recognizes the web of life's connections. Fritz Perls developed Gestalt therapy, a German word that roughly means the whole is more than the sum of the parts. You can take the pieces of a watch and throw them in a bag, but nothing happens. Until you organize the parts and integrate them with one another, nothing is ticking. Same with people. Same with churches. Gestalt therapy was a lot of fun, at least for Fritz Perls, who developed it. He sat people in a hot seat, and he would have them act out the various characters within themselves. His aim for them was emotional awareness. Quote, that moment of self-discovery when a person says, "Aha!" Have you ever had an aha moment? We trace our Unitarian roots through transcendentalism, and we think of them as intellectual. And they were brilliant indeed. But nothing is more emotional, in my opinion, than living in awareness of each present moment. Read Emerson, Thoreau. They are teeming with aha moments. Transcendentalists, in fact, called the liberals, quote, corpse-cold rationalists. To a winner, achievement is not the most important thing. Being authentic is. Winners assume responsibility for their own lives. They know their feelings and their limitations. They discipline themselves and live in the now. A winner works to make the world a better place. Galileo said, "You cannot teach a person anything. You can only help them discover it within themselves." Amen. So may it be.